Members, good afternoon. This is the appointed time for the meeting of the panel on education. And I see that we have a quorum. So, let's begin. First item on the agenda, information paper issued since the last meeting. No information paper has been issued. Second item, items for discussion at the next meeting. The next regular meeting is scheduled for the 5th of May, a Tuesday, at 10:45 a.m. So please note the date and time. The administration proposes to discuss the following items. First, promotion of study in Hong Kong. So the administration will brief us on their progress of promotion of study in Hong Kong. Next item, the CUHK Engineering Building at Central Campus, as well as Hong Kong U transformation of KK Leung Building into Research and Development Hub. These are two works projects. The administration is going to brief us on this engineering building at Central Campus of CUHK, as well as transforming KK Leung Building into an R&D hub of the Hong Kong U. Members will be consulted on these two projects. Any views on the items to be discussed at the next meeting? If not, then that's confirmed, the two items for the next meeting. Let's move on to the agenda proper. Item 3, promotion of vocational and professional education and training. We will discuss this item for up to an hour. Members, if you want to speak, please press the request to speak button. Now let me invite Dr. Zi Chunfai and the Secretary for Education and his team to walk us through the paper CB bracket 3229/2026 bracket 02. So I'll give the floor to Dr. Zi now. I see that members are very keen to discuss the item, so please just very briefly walk us through the paper. All right, thank you, Chair, members. The government provides multiple progression pathways for young people through the VPET framework to promote upward mobility. In line with the 15th Five-Year Plan to promote integrated development of education, technology, and talents, VPET will remain a key driver of manpower development and a development pathway for young people. We also want to nurture the next generation to acquire the work skills needed in the new digital era and apply knowledge in I&T so that they can seize opportunities of national development and development of the Greater Bay Area. The government adopts a strategy of fostering industry, institution, collaboration, and diversified development under a multi-pronged approach in 4 areas to promote VPET. These 4 areas include enhancing the promotion of VPET in secondary education, strengthening the value and positioning of VPET in higher education, developing flexible vocational progression pathways for practitioners under the Qualifications Framework, or QF, and strengthening the promotion of VPET in an innovative and integrated manner. Now, for secondary education, with the support of the Education Bureau, we rolled out 2 schemes on a pilot basis. First, Diploma of Vocational Baccalaureate, or DVB, with English as the medium of instruction, rolled out in 2018-19 academic year. It's a 3-year vocationally oriented program that can be articulated to degree courses. Now, as for the number of enrollment, we started with 120 in the first cohort, and we have increased the number to 240 by now, and 5 cohorts have graduated, with 30% and 50% respectively of them articulating to undergraduate or high diploma programs respectively every year. We plan to regularize DVB starting from the 2026-27 academic year to provide another quality VPET pathway in the long term. The next scheme is the DVE-SSC for senior secondary students to take up vocational courses, and upon completion of the program, students will be awarded a DVE-SCC at QF Level 3 alongside with the DSE qualification, so as to apply for high diploma programs. Now, The number of participating schools increased from 3 to 9, with an increase in the number of students participants. Now, we confirm that the pilot program is effective, and then starting from 2026-27 academic year, the pilot project will be extended for 3 academic years. Now, we also adopt multiple pathways in promoting VPAT through activities. For example, we organized 740 secondary school talks visits, reaching more than 60% of Hong Kong's public and DSS secondary schools, attracting 33,000 participants. Now, since the rollout of the campaign called 專家導航 in 2023-24, 400 secondary schools and 38,500 participants have joined the campaign so as to educate parents, teachers, as well as parents about the importance of VPAT in grooming talents. On post-secondary or higher education, in February last year, we promulgated the criteria for qualifying as an UAS University of Applied Sciences. Subsequently, the Hong Kong Metropolitan University or St. Francis University have gone through stringent review and procedures and become the first 2 UASs in Hong Kong. They have actively aligned with the government's direction in launching applied degree programs to meet market needs that meets their positioning. The Alliance have also actively taken part in organizing exchanges. For example, last year we worked with the Guangzhou Shenzhen counterparts to learn more about the various industries in the mainland. Now, in the beginning of, in February this year, for the first time, the international summit was held with the participation of experts from overseas and the mainland and local scholars as well to explore the trends. We'll continue to actively mount publicity and will also actively promote collaboration with higher education institutions and R&D centers in the Guangdong province and other vocational schools so as to create this exchange platform in the Greater Bay Area to groom applied skills talents. Now, as for the qualifications framework, it was launched 18 years ago. A clear framework and pathway has been set up under the QF, setting out the specification of standards to ensure quality of learning and to make sure that the knowledge acquired could meet practical needs. The Education Bureau continues to work with various industries to draw up progression pathways and courses so that further education pathways can be devised. So far, 14 industries have joined the vocational qualifications pathway. Our goal is to cover at least 18 industries by the end of 2027. We will continue to enhance the supporting mechanism so that practitioners will continue to further their learning with their prior learning being recognized. As for overall promotion and publicity, we set up the Steering Committee on Promotion of Vocational and Professional Education Training and Qualifications Framework in 2020. Various platforms are adopted to mount publicity campaigns to educate people about the importance of VPAT. VPAT is a crucial element in the education system in Hong Kong. The Education Bureau continued to work with various sectors so as to promote VPAT and give it a stronger appeal so that we can groom talents for the whole society. That concludes my briefing. I welcome questions and comments from members. Right, let me read out the names of members who would like to ask questions in this order, starting with Mr. Andrew Yao, Moon Kit, Nixie Lam, Alex Fan, Lam Chen Sing, Peter Kun, Chulap Wai, Rock Chan, Tang Fei, Vivian Kong, Elvin Lee, Dennis Leung, Wu Ying Pang, Priscilla Leung, and Ken Wong. There's so much enthusiasm here. So I will just give each member 3 minutes question and answer so that the next member will have a chance to put their questions. Please be concise in putting your questions, and please, again, be concise when delivering your answers. Mr. Zhu Yao, I declare, first of all, that I work in a company related to the construction industry. I also recently employed 7 VPAT students under the special scheme. Now, for Northern Metropolis, the government adopts an infrastructure-led approach. I think it's very important to groom technicians and skilled workers in the construction industry, especially in drawing up GBA standards. I'd like to know from the government the latest situation regarding the construction industry. And about the use of new materials and technologies such as BIM and MIC, my question is whether the VTC will collaborate with counterparts in the Greater Bay Area so as to organize more such courses, especially in terms of smart construction, and the relevant skilled professionals can practice in Hong Kong after they get the practicing certificate in the mainland. Dr. Z, 2 questions. Thank you, Mr. Yao, for the questions. And perhaps I can give the floor to the VTC later to take your questions as well. In terms of nurturing talents for the construction industry, the Construction Industry Council, as well as VPAT institutions in Hong Kong, have attached great importance to this area. I also got an understanding from the relevant training units of the VTC. Now, as mentioned by the member, the latest trend is on smart manufacturing and other technologies such as MIC, BMR, BIM, and in fact these have already been incorporated in the applied courses. The next point is about collaborating with mainland counterparts. We do have some institutional-based collaboration and exchange. I'll give the floor to the VTC representative. Chair, thank you for the question. The member asked about a single permit for a single exam for multiple certification. Now, we need to have regard to the interests of students and practitioners in these relevant organizations. We're now focusing on beautician and hairdressers. But in order to promote the flow of talents, we are discussing with the Guangdong province the certification of other professions such as baristas, care workers, as well as the construction industry practitioners. But when it comes to the construction industry, we must also have regard to academic qualifications and as well, apart from the skills acquired because of the differences in the regulatory frameworks. In fact, we do have this scheme for incoming talents. It's packed at level 4, it's a rather high level. We do hope that these students, upon completion of their studies, can remain in Hong Kong to take up work in the construction industry. In terms of mutual recognition of higher diplomas between Hong Kong and the mainland, if this is implemented, I believe this will further promote the flow of talents. Mr. Ng Mun Kit, 2 questions. First, according to the paper, DVB will be regularized and the government will continue to roll out the DVESSC. So I'd like to know the advantages that Hong Kong enjoys in this regard and whether they are effective. Can you tell us more about enrollment and promotion? The second point is about the vocational qualifications pathway. I'd like to have more details. Under Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Wu, for the questions. As mentioned in the paper, there are 2 diploma courses, DVB and DVESSC. According to the paper, the response has been quite positive. We're going to regularize one of them and extend the pilot for the other one for 3 years. As for promotion publicity, we do work closely with the education sector. In fact, we have organized talks, seminars, and various activities to promote VPAT. We will continue to do so. There is also a steering committee on VPAT as well as the qualifications framework. They will reach out to different stakeholders such as parents so as to step up publicity and tell them more about our relevant courses. Now, as for the VQP covers 14 industries. Meanwhile, we have continued to liaise with different stakeholders in the relevant industries. The pathways are drawn up on the basis of consensus. In fact, the industries have given us very positive response. Many industries have set up their ITACs as well, and standards such as the SCS, etc., have been drawn up as well. This is built on the basis of consensus forged with stakeholders such as employers, employees, and other professional groups. Now, this is our common goal, and our target is to include more industries under the VQP so that a pathway can be set up to help employees and employers.
Next, Ms. Dixie Lam. Thank you, Chair. I want to ask about DVB. It will be regularized in 2026-2027, and for the Diploma of Vocational Education arrangements, they will extend for 3 years. What will we do about the facilities, school premises, as well as teacher training? How can we make sure the course curricula will incorporate the latest trendy developments such as AI, fintech, etc.? Thank you. Thank you, Chair. These two diplomas are responsible by the VTC, so I will perhaps ask the Executive Director of the VTC to answer the questions. Thank you. We are very prudent with the development of courses. We want to make sure there's interest from students. Right now, we believe students are more interested in hospitality and information technology, and information technology would cover AI as well as cybersecurity. Our teachers are teachers of the VTC. We basically provide on-site services, but we had to coordinate with secondary schools because not the whole class will be interested. We need to make sure there is an adequate number of students. With internship or any activities, say to learn cybersecurity, we have 2 cybersecurity centers for learning, and for esports, we actually also have a center for that, which such facilities are not often found in secondary schools. So we provide facilities for their learning. I believe that also ties in with the government's vision to incorporate such learning elements in DVE. And from 2023-24, the first batch, we only had less than 100 students. In this year, 2025-26, we have students from 6 secondary schools participating, amounting to 120 of them. The government is making another injection to us to expand our arrangements to engage more secondary schools so that students, after they've studied a junior secondary curriculum, can start such learning sooner if they're interested, and whether they do well in the DSE or not, they can continue with vocational professional education and training. Professor Alex Fan, thank you. We are trying to be a hub for services to be provided to Muslim visitors, and we have some hospitality courses. We want to have frontline personnel serving Muslim visitors. I want to ask in future, will we have in VPAT courses elements relating to Middle Eastern culture and Islamic manners, halal standards? I know that there are some pilot arrangements, but I think we need to have a structured curriculum for learning such elements. We, of course, also need the right tutors to teach relevant knowledge. Will we work with halal certification bodies as well as institutions from Belt and Road countries to provide training to teachers and compile the relevant training materials? Thank you. Undersecretary. Thank you, Professor Fan. I would first like to clarify that we already have in the secondary curriculum foundation knowledge on Islamic culture and Islam history. For students studying VPAT, they would have already learned such knowledge in their ordinary curriculum. Including the VTC, we believe there are different institutions when providing VPAT courses. They have facilities for Muslim students, for example, prayer rooms and other ancillary services to meet their needs. We have also the Culinary Institute. When training cooking talents, they have specific knowledge in their curriculum. I'll see if Mr. Tong has anything to add. Thank you, Chair. We are already working on this. We want to, of course, work in line with the future development direction of the city. We have plans to work with some of the bodies in Hong Kong to develop relevant training. That's our preliminary stance. But the thing is, say for a Culinary Institute, if we provide only training in halal food, if they are newly graduated, it may actually limit their prospects. So we are working with some of the bodies to see if we can incorporate elements in the training instead of just focusing specifically on halal food. But once our graduates are secure in their prospects, we can perhaps provide further training to them. As for teachers, we have been recruiting teachers locally, but if we can't recruit suitable trainers locally, we will recruit from places outside Hong Kong, for example, the Middle East, to teach us knowledge in this regard. Waiters will, of course, have to know about the manners in Muslim culture. And as said earlier, some students will need to pray at certain times. We will try to reserve space as much as we can. And for the new campuses, we want to make sure to provide appropriate facilities to meet the religious needs of students. Thank you. Mr. Lam Chen Sing, we have the Diploma of Vocational Education having launched about 3 years ago. I want to ask what the graduates are doing, what their plans are. Some of the secondary 4 students know full well they won't be articulating into traditional universities, and if we can have them have early exposure to vocational and professional education and training, if they're interested, then we can perhaps provide a pathway for them to articulate into further VPAT. If this has received positive feedback, can we extend the arrangements to more secondary schools? I also want to ask if our development in VPAT will tie in with development in the Northern Metropolis. It's not just about the University of Applied Sciences. We have some new industries in the Northern Metropolis that would require technical talents. So can we be more targeted and have courses targeting these specific industries, and we can have these courses supported by the SSSDP to make sure there is a good match of talents and our needs for the development of Northern Metropolis. Thank you, Undersecretary. There are a number of questions to be answered. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Lam, for the questions. For the Diploma of Vocational Education, it was launched in 2023-24, and in this school year 2025-2026, we will have the first batch of graduates. As we do not have any graduates just yet, we do not have relevant information, but let me reassure the member, the curriculum design allows students to study the DSE curriculum as well as the VPAT curriculum. So not only will they receive certification for the DSE, but they also receive a QF3 qualification, and therefore, they have diversified pathways for articulation. And as we discussed before at previous panel on education meetings, for admission of students' previous learning experience will be considered, whether they have studied, for example, applied learning subjects, or whether they have studied vocation-oriented courses. As I said, the students have diversified pathways for articulation. For applied degrees, in particular, the learning experience of students will be considered. We will keep in view of the situation of graduates after they graduate from the diploma. As for how we can further promote VPAT in the Northern Metropolis, we have reserve space for institutions to apply for. On development of institutions, we emphasize the integration between the industry, the academia, as well as the research sector. In future, institutions setting up operations in the Northern Metropolis should have relevant visions. For universities of applied sciences intending to set up operations in the Northern Metropolis, we have reserved land for them to apply for. We believe with this, it should facilitate what the members said about nurturing technical talents to promote future development of the Northern Metropolis. But of course, talents trained in different institutions, even outside Northern Metropolis, should facilitate the development of the Northern Metropolis. Thank you. Reverend Peter Kuhn. Thank you, Chair. According to research, 55% of respondents of a survey thought only those with poor academic results would go for VPAT. It shows that there is still stigma associated with VPAT, especially for parents. For many years, we found that this impression is hard to change. This VPAT always seems to be the backup option. I know that there is publicity campaign on this, but for schools as well as parents, they seem to still think VPAT is second best. So can we refer to the practices in other countries and regions for publicity?
Right, the question on publicity. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Reverend Kuhn, for the questions. We need to make sustained efforts to change people's mind. So I refer to the 4 areas of promotion of VPAT. One of the areas is to enhance the recognition of VPAT courses in higher education. Now, one strategy rolled out by the government in recent years is the University of Applied Sciences. Reverend Kuhn asked about overseas experience. We have made a start by setting up universities of applied sciences, having regard to some other places with more advanced development in this area, such as Germany and Switzerland. They provide parallel progression pathways, that is, academic pursuits and vocational education will go side by side. In some countries, such as Germany, some international awardees, such as the Nobel Prize winner, is actually a graduate of a University of Applied Sciences. So this is one way of recognizing the abilities of those who have taken up courses in the University of Applied Sciences. I hope that through these developments, we will be able to persuade parents and stakeholders. In fact, the alliance was just set up last year, and this year we plan to foster exchange with different places, and we will continue to make the best efforts so as to change the mindset of people, like the member said. Mr. Chilabwai, according to the paper, in line with the 15th five-year plan, vocational and professional education and training will be the key driver of manpower development. Now, my question is this: will there be KPIs to gauge the contribution to the development of Hong Kong as an international hub for high-caliber talents? That is, will there be statistics on the number of incoming talents taking up these courses? The next question, that is about promoting VPAT in an innovative and integrated manner. That is to address the fundamental misconceptions among the public so as to give high respect to VPAT, and what are the plans to promote VPAT to the international community so as to attract more overseas students to come to Hong Kong? Under Secretary, thank you. Chair, thank you, Mr. Zhu. In terms of raising our international profile, we're exactly heading in this direction. We want to promote Hong Kong to the world as an education hub. Apart from UGC-funded universities, we also promoted the higher education sector, including the Universities of Applied Sciences and also, the other tertiary institutions which admit non-local students. As I mentioned in February this year, the inaugural International UAS Summit was held. It was organized by the Alliance with a view to further promoting VPAT. We invited experts from the mainland, that is, experts from Peking University, as well as other overseas experts to come and join our discussion. Last year, we visited Guangzhou and Shenzhen. We had an exchange with the leading polytechnic institutions in the two places. Now we've come up with a plan that is to go global together. We can forge partnerships with institutions in the Greater Bay Area so as to go global and visit other places such as the Belt and Road countries and ASEAN countries. We'll continue to mount publicity, but more importantly, we want to make sure that the courses on offer are attractive and responsive to market needs. Now, we do have applied sciences courses that comprise both theories and practicum to swiftly respond to market needs in the age of the digital era as well as artificial intelligence. We include the relevant elements as well. We continue to refine these courses to meet future needs. So on promoting Hong Kong as an education hub, there will be active participation from the University of Applied Sciences as well as other higher education institutions. Next, Mr. Rock Chen. Thank you, Chair. Now we are promoting Hong Kong's brand, and that is study in Hong Kong. My question for the Undersecretary is whether there is a plan to attract more non-local students to study in the two UASs. And if so, can you tell us the specific details? Second question, in terms of opportunities in the Greater Bay Area for UAS students, will there be more opportunities for cross-boundary learning in the Greater Bay Area? That doesn't just go one way. Will there be opportunities for students to go across the border and take up internship positions in the Greater Bay Area? Undersecretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for the questions. In relation to non-local students studying in the UASs in Hong Kong, we earlier visited the Metropolitan University. That's one of the universities of applied sciences. And we also had a long conversation with non-local students in Hong Kong MU. They feel positive about their options, but they are not very sure about the courses offered by the Universities of Applied Sciences in Hong Kong. Not long ago have we set up the UASs. So what is needed is for us to continue to promote the Study in Hong Kong brand. We should join hands in the publicity campaign. We're not only going to promote the 5 top 100 universities in Hong Kong, we want to promote the higher education sector as a whole to the world. There is a delineation of work among different institutions with different courses on offer. I believe that we should focus on these diverse options in our publicity campaigns, because students might wish to take up different courses of different nature and pathways, especially for the applied courses. Students who are interested in these courses must be closely tied to the relevant industries. As for cross-boundary internship opportunities, that depends on the actual circumstances. Now, cross-boundary or not, I believe non-local students who study here will have a lot of opportunities to exchange with our mainland counterparts, and there will also be visits of different enterprises. And this will give an appeal to non-local students who wish to study in the Universities of Applied Sciences here. Next, Mr. Tang Fei. Thank you, Chair. I thank the administration for addressing some of the concerns. I'm concerned about the quality and the qualifications of teachers. Now, be it elementary education, VPET, or higher education, there is a concern about the qualification of teachers. Now, say for pre-primary, primary, secondary education, there is a mechanism for teachers to be registered and to acquire practicing certificates. However, because of the legal background, there are different institutions under, say, the VTC or otherwise. They come with different standards and requirements. Some institutions may require teachers to be registered through the Post-Secondary Colleges Ordinance, that's CAP 320, but that doesn't apply to all the institutions. According to the paper, there are courses, diploma courses targeting senior secondary students. However, for the University of Applied Sciences, there are 2 in Hong Kong, and they are self-financed. So, do they follow the requirements under CAP 320? My first question is whether unified standards are adopted to make sure that teachers in the VPAT institutions are sufficiently qualified. This can be done through registration or licensing or otherwise. The next question is about the 14 institutions of the VTC. It has to do with the turnover of lecturers and teachers. Now, for primary, secondary education, things are rather stable with lower turnover rate. But that's a different picture for these institutions of VTC. There is a high turnover rate, but I want to make sure that quality of education is safeguarded, and that means we need a stable teaching force for higher education as well. Undersecretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Tang, for the questions. Let me take the first one about teacher qualification, and Mr. Tong can take this second question on turnover. Now, about the quality of courses and qualification of teachers, there are requirements in the legislation. Different institutions offer different courses. They are subject to different pieces of legislation, and for the VTC, is bound by the a specific piece of legislation as well. There are also requirements in terms of teacher qualification. With passage of the Post-Secondary Colleges Ordinance, some institutions will need to undergo registration under CAP 320. There are relevant requirements under the amended ordinance. These provisions and requirements are clear. On the whole, the Hong Kong CAAVQ is responsible for checking the quality of these courses. Or if the institutions have joined a self-accreditation mechanism, they still need to go through a vetting process. Indeed, in terms of teacher qualifications, it's a different picture than the requirements for, say, primary, secondary school teachers. These teachers may be representatives working at the front line of some specific professions and industries. For example, if it's an accountancy course, an experienced accountant may be invited to share his insight. Of course, not so much as a lecturer, but perhaps as a practitioner giving a talk, so as to enrich the learning experience. The purpose is to enhance students' understanding of the workplace and the occupation, and it would be better if we allow more pluralistic background of lecturers and teachers. I'll give the floor to Mr. Tong. Take high diploma courses as an example. Students usually take up a 2-year course, spanning 1,000 to 1,200 hours. But in order to graduate, a student must also at least work as an intern in a third-party organization for at least 100 hours, because we don't just go for academic pursuit. We want to make sure that students are equipped with practical knowledge. That is why in choosing our lecturers, we attach importance to not only their academic qualifications, but the know-how. And we have tests. Now, if the candidate has a certificate, then there is one way of checking. Otherwise, say if it has to do with cooking skills, then we actually conduct tests to make sure that the candidate could meet our skills requirement before he's formally employed. Now, as the Undersecretary mentioned, after we recruit a teacher, we need to make sure that quality assurance can be safeguarded, and that means the teacher in question should be able to transfer practical knowledge which can be applied in the industries. In fact, we are conducting a comprehensive review, which is done once every 5 years to ensure the quality of teaching and learning. We don't just have the say, we all have a robust mechanism. As for turnover or mobility of teachers, in fact, for a while there was indeed a rather high turnover rate. That happens not only to our sector but all sectors in Hong Kong. Things have stabilized in recent years with a turnover rate lower than 5%. Because of manpower needs, we've also extended the retirement age so that experienced teachers and staff can be retained to meet our operational needs. This will be also conducive to the transfer of knowledge. Thank you.
All right, we still have 7 members waiting to speak. I'll draw the line here. I ask members and representatives from the administration to observe the time limit because we still have another item to discuss. Ms. Vivian Kong. Thank you, Chair. From a tourism industry perspective, I am concerned about development of VPAT to make sure it is targeted and dynamically respond to the needs of the tourism industry. The industry often calls to the problem of having a manpower gap in terms of nurturing talents to meet industrial demand. Can the VTC or the Bureau work with the industry to make sure the curriculum content matches the latest developments and service standards of the industry? We have talked about the community engagement unit as well as the St. Francis University office. Can we adopt the same model? As for tourism industry practitioners, they often have great experience, but they have not received recognition for their training. Can the Bureau work with the Tourism Commission and Tourism Board more closely so as to have clearer development letters for the different professions within the industry, and that should help practitioners plan for training and promotion. Lastly, on public education, I can see the Education Bureau has supported many community engagement activities as well as competitions, including the V-Skills Fiesta as well as the Youth Skills competitions. When holding large-scale activities, can you work with the tourism industry and make one of the key areas for demonstration tourism services? Not only does it help promote VPAT, but it also showcases the professional standards and vibrancy of the tourism industry. Thank you, Chair. Undersecretary, you can perhaps answer the questions specifically on publicity and industry and institutional collaboration. Thank you, Chair, for the formulation of curricula. Institutions, of course, work closely with the industry. As the member mentioned, the specific units of the Universities of Applied Sciences set up these offices to enhance communication with industries. And if the institution has a tourism-related course, perhaps the tourism industry can get in touch with the institutions through such platforms. As for the VTC, they also have some training committees. We have one specifically for hospitality industry, and industry practitioners of the tourism industry can also provide advice to us through that platform. As for qualifications framework, we have, as said earlier, the industry training advisory committees. We have a particular committee for the tourism industry. The qualifications framework provides development letters for frontline tourism practitioners as well as some back-end practitioners. For the latest developments of the industry, through the relevant committee, more arrangements can be promulgated and perhaps communication can be done through the committee as well. As for how we can work with the tourism industry to promote the different skills competitions and, say, the V-Skills Fiesta, we will continue to hold relevant activities. The VTC held V-Skills Fiesta twice. We have achieved quite a success. Many came to the West Kowloon Cultural District to participate in the event. When we hold the event again, we definitely want to work with the tourism industry, the tourism board, for example, to enhance publicity. Thank you. Dr. Alvin Lee, thank you, Chair. First, I would like to declare an interest. The company I serve has hired some of the VPAT graduates. I agree we have to promote VPAT by enhancing recognition of VPAT and make it more attractive for parents and youngsters. We need to make sure also the quality of the courses can meet industrial demands. These factors are all interrelated. I have some questions and comments today. For industry participation, we need the administration working with institutions as well as industries. By working together, you can show students there are prospects for courses. And in fact, in the country's laws for vocational education, we have seen a focus on enhancing nurturing of talents by providing incentives, and there will be a list of those who have made significant contributions being recognized. How can we enhance enterprises' participation by having them provide internship opportunities or priority recruitment so as to enhance integration between the industry and the VPAT institutions? On course planning, I want to ask what are standards for courses being included in the SSSDP? Actually, the specific occupation that I serve has a great manpower gap. Can we have more courses that would cover, say, art tech or rehabilitation of heritage under the SSSDP so that students have greater prospects in the industries or the sectors. Thank you. Undersecretary, thank you, Dr. Elvin Lee, for the questions. The questions are very targeted. As for how we are going to encourage enterprise participation, we believe what is key is to have collaboration between the industries and institutions demonstrated by the curricular design, so that with the learning experiences as well as the graduation requirements, they tie in with industrial demands, such as having internship arrangements or requiring students to work in a real-life setting to understand the needs of the enterprises. This should help students acquire practical experience in their learning. And with the applied degree programs and the courses under UASs, we are trying to nurture talents that have applied skills and to promote integration between the industry and the institutions with the provision of applied learning experiences. And this is not limited to tertiary education. We have also some applied learning elements in secondary education. We also have some VPAT competitions for secondary school students to take part in which the enterprises are involved. These competitions provide diversified experiences for students, which should facilitate their learning. As for the criteria for a course to be included under SSSDP, the Education Bureau will discuss with different policy bureaus what industries have a manpower gap and there is a demand for talents in the specific areas. It involves interactions. We also need to make sure institutions have such courses in the first place. So perhaps the industries can communicate with institutions early on so that graduates of relevant courses can join the industries after they graduate to minimize that manpower gap. This is an interactive process. We welcome the arts industries, as Dr. Lee said, if they have such demand, we can help convey their views to the institutions. We can also take this into consideration when choosing courses to subsidize. We'll keep in view of the relevant situation. Thank you. Thank you, Undersecretary. Mr. Dennis Leung, the Deputy Chairman. Thank you, Chair. I would like to thank the current term government for heeding the calls of the FTU in relation to VPAT, and we can see the government has made continuous improvements to close the manpower gap. We often say talents come from different professions. What is important is to make sure there is no mismatch of graduates and manpower demand in order to really have every student excel in their respective areas. In terms of senior secondary curriculum, how can we enhance awareness of schools, sponsoring bodies, teachers, and students of VPAT so that they understand there are some other pathways that may be suitable for them. After students have taken part in the DSE, is there some sort of publicity for us targeting those students to show that there are alternative pathways through VPAT? The positioning of UASs is quite clear. They have courses that are employment linked or they are industry linked. How can we make the positioning of non-degree courses clearer so as to tie in with the development of VPAT? 3 questions.
多謝梁議員。
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Leung, for the 3 questions. First one, about stepping up publicity among senior secondary schools. I think this relates to the second question as well. That is how we help students choose the most suitable pathway. In terms of life planning education, we have advanced our efforts from senior secondary levels to junior secondary. In fact, even for primary school students, we help them learn their interests and aspirations. We help them set their goals. And we also help them learn about different industries from young. Applied learning is one area when it comes to secondary education. When students are promoted from junior to senior secondary, they need to think about their future prospects in choosing the subjects. Academic pursuit is not the only pathway. Because different students have different aspirations. We should not give them limited options. For parents, likewise, it is very important that they know this as well. We talk to students as well as parents. For life planning in schools, we focus on students. They may know more about their parents. When it comes to the latest development of the UASs and VPAT, we let students know about, for example, the average salaries of graduates of VPAT, and we tell them that they actually earn as much as those graduating from academic pathways. Now, we also rely on teachers, especially those in charge of life planning and counseling, to tell students as well as parents, and will continue to step up publicity. Next, Mr. Wu Yingpeng. The Education Bureau has over the years taken a multi-pronged approach and adopted the strategy of fostering industry-institution collaboration and diversified development so as to promote VPAT and groom the talents with applied skills. Paragraphs 19 to 21 of the paper refer to the setting up of the Alliance of UASs and collaboration with institutions in the Greater Bay Area and organization of international symposium, etc. My question is whether there is a plan to enhance collaboration on the education front with GBA through the Alliance of UAS. Will there be a regular channel for the sharing of internship opportunities and resources to further widen the pathway for VPAT students who wish to further their studies in the Greater Bay Area? Undersecretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Wu, for the questions. As mentioned in the paper, we want to collaborate with the leading polytechnic institutions in the mainland so that an exchange platform can be set up. Last year, a number of institutions in Hong Kong participated, including UAS is already set up, as well as the associated institutions. We conducted an exchange with institutions in the Guangdong province. In the future, we'll strive to enhance collaboration, similar to the Alliance of Higher Education Institutions in the Greater Bay Area. We want to run joint courses. For example, for a 2-year course, we can have 1 year in the mainland, another year in Hong Kong, or perhaps instead, in the form of exchange students, we can foster exchange. Hong Kong students will be able to stay in the mainland institutions for a short time so as to deepen their understanding. This will also enhance the students' competitive edge after they graduate. And after we establish the exchange platform, we will collaborate with the mainland institutions to go global. We'll mount joint publicity, for example, to attract more non-local students to come and study in vocational institutions in the Greater Bay Area. Now, Mr. Wu gave us a few comments, and on this platform, we will further explore these ideas with institutions. Next, Professor Priscilla Leung. Thank you, Chair. I'm strongly in support of the promotion of VPAT. I'm fully in support of this idea that you can have excellent talent in every trade and industry. I remember a long time ago, I already suggested that better titles should be given to different skills and trades so as to raise the profile. For example, we should call beauticians, urban makeup artists to attract more people to come. One example is an accountant who has switched to be a tea appreciation specialist. And I also came across somebody who graduated in business administration in a CUHK, who then joined the construction industry after taking up a 6-month course on bar bending. Now, these two stories tell us that the world is changing. Academic pursuits and non-traditional subjects should complement each other. When it comes to personal development and your own aspirations, you need to think carefully what the world needs. In fact, say if you are able to grow peanuts and if you're able to set up a good company, then in the end you get rich as well. So my question is whether there'll be a revolving door, so to speak, that can be cross-disciplinary collaboration among institutions, one providing traditional knowledge and academic pursuits such as business knowledge, management, and the other providing courses relating to skills. I want to know whether there is such a strategy. Under Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Priscilla Leung, for agreeing with us. Indeed, it is very important that each of us acquire a skill on the design of VPAT courses. The courses don't just teach students a single skill. say for culinary training courses, apart from cooking skills. Students also acquire other aspects of knowledge such as hospitality. The courses also combine theories with practical knowledge. You mentioned the revolving door. I believe you're referring to a combination of both. Say if it's a course that teaches students to make desserts, apart from the skills, students can learn something about management so that in the future the student can set up its own shop. Because if the course only offers skills on making desserts, then the graduate may not be able to run their own shop. Managerial elements should be added. We believe pathway can be set starting with the basic diploma, higher diploma, etc., so that students will be able to accumulate experience, and with further enhancement of their skills at different stages, students may need to start to learn about management or business expansion. So at different stages, we provide different courses to them. Well, just to supplement, we have a lot of young people on the gap year and do keep all options open. These are very popular ideas. Next, Mr. Ken Wong. Thank you, Chair. I strongly support VPAT. During the 2 sessions, suggestions were made about the promotion of VPAT. I thank the Education Bureau for promoting the same. In fact, elements of VPAT are included in the junior secondary curricula of the mainland as well as other countries. Will the administration make reference to these places and include VPAT elements in the junior secondary education in Hong Kong? Will you talk to the sector in drawing up policies? The second question is about collaboration with mainland and overseas universities of applied sciences. Is there any specific policy on the mutual recognition of the relevant qualifications? 2 questions. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Wong. At the secondary level, the VTC offers relevant courses. For example, the VTC's Youth College offers relevant courses for students. At the junior secondary level, students usually study in their own schools, and at the senior secondary level, we provide VPAT courses as electives or extracurricular courses. There may not be a sufficient number of students from a single school that take up such courses, and we do encourage a combination of students from different schools to take the classes together. As for acceptance or recognition of the qualifications of universities of applied sciences and other institutions, will continue to mount overseas publicity. Courses offered by the UAS in Hong Kong are recognized. They've gone through the vetting of the Hong Kong CAA VQ. These courses are pegged to QF Level 5 That's the level of degree courses offered by universities. We do believe that more can be done on enhancing publicity of these courses. Thank you. Last member to speak, Dr. Hui Li.
Thank you, Chair. We have seen in recent years the administration strengthening promotion of VPAD. I support that. We can see the VTC courses really meeting the needs of industries. But as Reverend Peter Kuhn said, often there is stigma associated with VPAD. Let me share with you a personal experience. When I was working at Guizhou, I worked with a state-owned enterprises to have a professional school. And we have applied for qualifications to run the school, and the enterprise developed the curriculum. We have achieved really good results. Graduates can work in enterprises right away. And even if students don't end up joining enterprises, they can find jobs easily in the phosphorus chemical industry. And the school became quite famous in the area. Now, I think we can really think about how we can have industries and institutions developing courses together. We have seen the papers touching on this, but the collaboration is relatively shallow. How can we encourage enterprises to play a greater role in the running of the institutions, perhaps, or at least in curriculum design? It is important to combine the curriculum and have it and the demands of enterprises. I think we need to understand with number of graduates of the courses, it directly affects the supply of talents that can meet the demand of enterprises. Thank you, Undersecretary. Thank you, Dr. Lee, for your comments and questions. We, of course, want to have graduates of VPAD get work opportunities in the specific areas, which is why we have the SSSDP subsidizing courses for industries that have a manpower gap. The subsidy scheme is also a signal for students so that if they study the courses, they know more likely than not they will be able to find jobs in the specific industries because there is a manpower gap in the industries. As for how we can encourage enterprises to do more in curriculum design or even run educational institutions themselves. We right now want to adopt a collaboration model, but we also have some companies such as the MTRC and CLP, as well as the airport authority having their respective academies, but of course the companies would have to be of a larger scale. In fact, they not only train talents for local needs, they also train talents for other regions. I don't think we should have an academy for each industry. Most of them will adopt a collaboration model. Understand that the gemological industry is working with an institution to have specific dual certification courses, and that has an in-depth involvement of practitioners in the industry. The industry needs talents and want more talents to join the industry, which is why they participated in the development of the course. I believe with them working with the institutions, with industries working with institutions, they can develop courses that would better meet their needs. As for qualification certification, the HKCA AVQ will provide certification to courses. As for the process they have for certification, we have been communicating with the HKCA AVQ to see how we can expedite the process. We also ask institutions to submit requisite documents in a timely manner that should facilitate the opening or the commencement of the courses in an expedited manner. Thank you, Chair. Thank you. That ends the discussion of the first item. Let's move on to the second agenda item, promoting the development of physical education in primary and secondary schools. Dr. C, the Undersecretary, will continue to be here for the discussion of this item. We have Ms. Annie Wong from the Education Bureau joining the discussion of this item. We have had in-depth discussions for the first item. We have actually gone past the assigned time for the discussion of the first item by 20 minutes. I ask members to be succinct in their remarks to make sure we don't go over the assigned time for the meeting. And I also ask the Undersecretary to provide a brief response. You may go into in-depth discussions with particular members after the meeting. For those who wish to speak, please press the request to speak button. All right. I will now ask Dr. C to brief members on the paper provided by the Administration CB brackets 3229/2026 brackets 04. Thank you, Chair. The Education Bureau attaches great importance to students' physical and mental well-being and adopts a multi-pronged strategy to promote a healthy lifestyle among students. Regular participation in physical activities not only enhances students' fitness level, but also strengthens their cognitive ability and improves their physical health, thereby fostering their all-round development. To support schools in promoting PE development within and beyond the classroom, the Bureau renews the curriculum guide on an ongoing basis, organizes diversified student activities, develop learning and teaching resources, and offer teacher professional development programs to help schools promote PE and encourage students to actively participate in different physical activities. We have amended the curriculum guide for physical education in 2017 to incorporate the WHO's recommendation on physical activity for children and adolescents as a development direction of the PE curriculum. And in 2020, we have revised the information per WHO's updated information to say accumulating at least an average of 60 minutes daily of moderate to vigorous intensity physical activities across the week in BRIEF and VPA 60. The Education Bureau also asks schools to organize diversified sports activities to enhance physical skills of students and instill proper values and attitudes in students. We have to have schools provide PE lessons and diversified sports activities for students and adopt a lifelong learning model to provide sports galas and different hobby activities for extended PE learning for students. In the 2024 policy address, the Chief Executive announced that in the next school year, 2020-27 school year, we will have more in physical education. And the Education Bureau has held 40 seminars, and we have attracted great participation. In 2021-2022, we have launched the active students, active people campaign, the ASAP campaign that has concerted efforts to encourage students to have regular physical activity habits. We have different activities, including sharing sessions by elite athletes, as well as the Dance for All and some online competitions. We have over 420,000 attendances. We have a slogan of let's exercise every day, exercise together, and exercise with others to encourage students to meet the WHO recommended hours. We have 440 schools participating in the scheme. We also have different learning and teaching resources for teachers. For sports, we have some short videos. We have training materials on wushu and dance. We also have diversified training courses for teachers. We also hold the PE Teachers Conference that has experts sharing their experiences covering areas in curriculum development, sports safety, AI application, etc., to enhance capabilities in teaching. We also encourage students to take part in physical activities. The Education Bureau has been working with different government departments and organizations to promote diversified activities to encourage student participation, including opening schools premises to promote sports development. We also have different sports award schemes, and we hold competitions to provide diversified physical activities for students. In future, the Bureau will continue to enhance the physical education curriculum to tie in with the National 15 5-year plan to have physical education included in the internal assessments of secondary schools. We will also continue to promote the ASAP campaign to incorporate new elements to enhance student participation and provide enhanced training for teachers, including digital and AI applications. We'll work with other GBA mainland cities to hold competitions to broaden the horizons of students. We will prioritize student health and work under the National 15 5-year plan, which has a target of building a strong country in sports to instill the right values and sense of belonging in the younger generation to make contributions to development of the city and the country. We welcome views from members, and we also are more than willing to take their questions. Thank you, Chair. We have 10 members pressing the request to speak button. Let me read out the order in which members are going to speak. Professor Alex Fan, Mr. Dennis Leung, Dr. Elvin Lee, Ms. Nixie Lam, Mr. Lam Singh, Mr. Chu Lat Wei, Mr. Kan Wong, Mr. Wu Yingpeng, Mr. Jonathan Leung, and Mr. Teng Fei. In order to complete our discussion within the assigned time for the meeting, I will assign a 3-minute time limit, and I ask members as well as representatives from the administration to be succinct. Professor Alex Fan. Thank you, Chair. I note that in 2024, we have a particular sports medicine publication showing for those youngsters who have conducted 3 workout sessions of moderate intensity per week will have 30% less risk in developing depression symptoms. We want to pay attention to the mental well-being of youngsters. Right now, we have only 2 sessions of PE, about 18 minutes per week, which is much lower than what is recommended by the WHO. Has the Bureau conducted assessments to see how much PE can help with the mental well-being of students? Will you review the hours for PE? We, of course, don't want to impose pressure on students. How can we encourage schools to adjust their courses to incorporate more creative elements in sports activities to really make students feel the sense of success when they're doing sports? Next, we want to achieve synergy between sports and mental well-being. If students are resistant against sports or physical activities, they may have some emotional problems. How can we work with school personnel to identify early on students with particular mental needs? Will we have schools make it mandatory for some students to take part in disciplinary training and team-based activities to help encourage participation? Thank you. Thank you, Professor Fan, for your questions. Apart from PE lessons, we encourage schools to arrange different physical activities at different times of school hours. Right now, we have 80 to 120 minutes of physical activities specifically for PE lessons. Schools can, of course, arrange for additional physical activities. Apart from PE lessons on the school level, we actually encourage students to take part in sports related activities such as team sports or extracurricular activities, for example, after school sports classes. If students take part in such activities, the hours should already be enough to meet the target set by the member. For PE, it's not just about physical skills. We also test competencies in attitude as well as other mental competencies. We do not only test students' sports skills, we also look at their values, attitude, and how they can work with other students in assessments. As for the member's third question, for students who are not so willing to take part in PE lessons, we believe schools can deal with these issues on a school-based level. PE lessons are just like other subject classes. Students do not really have a choice in choosing whether to partake in the lessons. Teachers can, of course, try to motivate the students. If students are more interested in specific sports, teachers can make some adjustments. But we do think the learning experience is mandatory for students because it is important to cultivate a healthy lifestyle among students in secondary and primary schools. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Dennis Leung, Deputy Chair. Well, this is a result-oriented government, so we need to have regard to the result. The Department of Health earlier published a report in 2024-25 about the health of students in Hong Kong. It shows that in general, students in Hong Kong are overweight. They are not as fit. In order to develop a strong nation, we need to stay fit. So what is the goal of the Education Bureau to help increase the fitness among students through schools? The second point is about schools participation. The government, the Education Bureau has rolled out the MVPA 60 reward scheme. Now, how do we leverage on artificial intelligence and other tools so as to assess the fitness of students together with the Department of Health? Will indicators be set? Will there be anything to monitor the performance of students as well as schools so as to make sure that the target is achieved? Under Secretary, thank you, Deputy Chair, for the two questions. Now, I already answered the question about raising students' fitness through activities. I emphasized that according to the WHO recommendation, students should be physically active for at least 60 minutes a day. That means 420 minutes per week. But of course, students don't go to school every day. On weekends, students are not expected to just sit at home and not work out. We rely on schools. And on this front, we also need the full participation of families and the whole community. So for holidays or non-school days, we hope that homeschool cooperation can be implemented. For example, parents can set an example and take their children out to work out together. This will help children pick up the habit. As for the indicators, For schools, we've added the indicator for fitness of students. So it's one of the indicators. In terms of fitness of individual students, we have different schemes. For example, we've rolled out an award scheme. Some schools have also leveraged on technologies such as smart bracelets to monitor, for example, steps taken by students every day and whether they've stayed physically active and for how long each day. We'll consider further leveraging on digital technologies so that as part of the promotion of digital education, we can also enhance our efforts in promoting physical education in schools. Next, Dr. Alvin Lee. Thank you, Chair. The Education Bureau has done a lot in recent years to promote physical education in schools. I have two questions. First, Healthy China is a national strategy. Every now and then, the mainland would conduct a countrywide survey about the health of students. From the survey, data are collected to help formulate standards and policies to promote healthy campuses. Do we have regular surveys of this nature? Are there indicators to follow? That's the first question. Second question about the development and the positioning of physical education in primary and secondary schools. Now, we're concerned about physical and mental health among students. We, at the same time, also implement a number of objectives, including developing sports as an industry and promoting sports for all, promoting elite sports, etc. So in terms of sports development in primary and secondary schools, will there be a policy to groom students to become elite athletes and to help promote sports as an industry? Undersecretary, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Alvin Lee, for the questions. In terms of gauging the health of our students, the Education Bureau works closely with the Department of Health. Every year, we conduct a health survey. We check the vision and the weight of students as well as their fitness and how flexible they are. We work closely with the Department of Health. And as mentioned just now, it has come to our attention that students tend to have longer screen time after the pandemic, or that their vision is not as good. And we rolled out targeted measures. In the future, we believe we can harness technology in helping students build healthy habits. For example, step counter. This can give us more data for us to better gauge the situation of students so that we can design suitable activities for students in schools. About promoting sports, especially elite sports, we have inter-school sports competitions comprising different items. We also have sports associations and associations of new urban sports. They organize various activities. For students with potential, they will be invited to join the elite athlete training scheme. They may become candidates of the Hong Kong Sports Institute. On developing sports as an industry, with the commissioning of the Kai-Tak Sports Park and upgrading of other sports venues, More can be done. In fact, last year, students went in teams to be spectators of the national games. So that's about sports spectatorship, and we can continue to groom students and cultivate their interests on various fronts. Right, in the interest of time, would members and the secretary please only limit yourselves to quick questions and answers? Ms. Nixie Lam. A quick one. I understand at least the WHO has drawn up a standard. Our country has also introduced requirements. But I think when it comes to sports for children, we need to have regard to their interests. There may be diverse interests. Now, the secretary mentioned using technology. Quantifying how active they are may pose pressure on students. So as a parent, I am not supportive of this idea. Rather, I think it has to do with cultivating interest among the children instead of using a timer and counting steps. You should make sure that they pick up the habits and they have self-confidence. Paragraph 9 refers to traditional Chinese culture and performance of the relevant sports. Now, I was a district councillor before. I also participated in activities such as dragon dance and lion dance. Many children enjoy these activities. So perhaps something can be done to include the elements of traditional Chinese culture to make things interesting. I want to know whether the Education Bureau has statistics about the activities run by schools. Right, Chinese culture. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Nixie Lam, about the comments on traditional Chinese culture such as wushu, line dance, dragon dance, martial arts, and Chinese dance. For sports activities in schools, over half of them relate to traditional Chinese culture. The Education University also conducts an event called Wushu in U Campus. This will allow students to have a better understanding of traditional Chinese culture and more opportunities to be active. Mr. Lam Chun Sing, thank you, Chair. Now, physical education will be incorporated in the internal assessments for secondary school places allocation system. This is a good idea because for exams, for various subjects, even for visual arts, science, humanities, primary students would take tuition classes. Now, will there be similar drills for physical education? Because this may be a deterrence. As for internal assessment, apart from how far one could jump or how fast one could run, more importantly, we should make sure that there is a change of habit and sports will be incorporated in the daily living. Mr. Dennis Leung, Deputy Chair, referred to the survey conducted by the Department of Health. For fitness, it comes with some indicators. This report, however, focuses on obesity and overweight as well as vision because of long screen time, and physical education could help encourage students stay active instead of using the phone all day, together with a change of dietary habits so that we consume less sugar, less fat, and in the long run we can help improve the problem of obesity and improve vision. 2 questions. Thank you, Chair. About the 2 questions asked by Mr. Lam, for internal assessment of physical education, we consider mostly the fitness of students. We assess, for example, some basic abilities. There is no need for students to be enrolled in special interest classes or training classes. I don't think this will give students an edge, because the purpose of including PE in internal assessment is for students to pick up the daily habit and also attach greater importance to physical education in schools. According to the feedback from frontline teachers in in primary schools, this should not pose additional pressure on schools or students. As for the Department of Health's survey, you've made a correct point. The objective is to encourage students to play sports. Well, some activities involve kinetic e-gaming, that is, you may interact with an electronic screen, but we believe that after all the student will be facing just a screen. It's not as active as staying outdoor to play sports and other board games or go swimming. Our emphasis is to put your gadgets down, go out and play sports. Taking in less sugar, less fat in in schools. We require caterers, lunchbox suppliers in schools to pay attention to healthy menus. The Health Bureau also mounts publicity community-wide regarding the diet.
Thank you, Undersecretary. Next, Mr. Chilat Wai. Thank you, Chair. I have 2 questions. For my first question, I want to know more about if the Education Bureau will have a change in positioning for PE classes in schools with reference to the National 15 5-year plan. The second question is, the Hong Kong teams have achieved the best results in the 15 national games. How can we make good use of the success of athletes at the national games to encourage more students to take part in physical activities? Excuse me, due to time constraints, we do not have much time left. I ask the Undersecretary to be succinct. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Zhu. Regarding the positioning of PE classes, it is one of the learning areas, the 7 learning areas in primary and secondary schools. We try to encourage more students to take part in physical fitness and PE activities. The PE curriculum is constantly updated, allowing students to develop different interests and partake in different activities so that they won't just participate in the traditional sports. They can also take part in some newer sports. We also ask students not to only do sports during PE lessons. We want them to partake in such activities outside of school hours. We also have the physical activity logbook that can help students log their physical activity hours. Last year, we did achieve great success in the national games. During the national games, we already held different activities. We have some activities relating to the MVP A60 award scheme to enhance awareness of students of the national games. We have already held diverse activities in the last school year for this purpose. Every year we have some major sports events. In the second half of this year, we'll have the Asian Games. We will also have athletes representing Hong Kong and the country to take part in events. We believe through elite athletes, we will have more students' awareness enhanced in relation to sports development. We are very glad that some elite athletes took part in the sharing sessions we held. In the community, we have also some publicity efforts made by different NSAs, National Sports Associations, that can help us promote sports in schools. Thank you. Mr. Kan Wang, thank you. The paper talked about how some schools have introduced technologies including AI and combine those with the use of equipment and software to analyze sports or physical activity data of students. Has the Bureau been tracking the effectiveness of such applications of schools in order to gauge whether we should extend the arrangements to other schools to promote sports? I also agree that the Bureau should encourage schools to implement life-wide learning and have diversified sports activities. But then we have many primary and secondary schools that do not have enough space for students to conduct physical activities. Can the Bureau provide support to the schools to break through these restrictions? For example, by working with the LCSD to have dedicated time slots of sports facilities for these schools. Thank you. Undersecretary, 2 questions. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Kan Wang, for the 2 questions. On how can we make use of technology such as AI to analyze physical activity data of students? We have held a mobile app design competition before. Some students have developed applications to effectively record physical activity data of students, and they have made these into games to encourage other students to participate. We have now 40-odd primary students piloting the use of such software. We do have plans to expand the arrangements to other schools so as to make good use of technology to promote sports. As for the member's second question on some schools being constrained by the lack of space, we want to have equal opportunities for students to take part in sports, which is why the Education Bureau has been working with other government departments, including the LCSC, to accord priority to schools to make bookings for sports facilities of the LCSC as well as the housing department for different activities, including for PE lessons or for training sessions or for sports galas or swimming galas, sports days and swimming galas. That should help promote sports in schools, especially for schools that are limited by some space constraints. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Undersecretary. Mr. Wu Yingpeng. Thank you, Chair. We have in paragraph 24 of the paper talking about how the Education Bureau is working with the CSTB to hire retired athletes to become coaches to teach classes in specific sports. But the cost of hiring athletes is not low, especially those who are Olympics medalists. So how can we provide more support to schools, for example, the subsidies to hire retired athletes? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wu, for your question. We actually work with the CSTB the LCSC as well as the Sports Institute for the relevant scheme, for the relevant program to have retired athletes work towards our common goal. And we will have retired athletes become officers in schools to promote sports, to foster a sports culture in schools. Schools will arrange for a teacher to be the tutor and work with retired athletes to provide coaching to students. We have seen the program being implemented for quite some time. We have accumulated a certain level of experiences. In terms of resource allocation, we believe the resources we have deployed are adequate, but we do understand for some retired athletes, when they're participating in the program, they are trying to obtain teachers' qualifications, and in future, they can become PE teachers. I believe this is a good pathway for retired athletes for development. Thank you. Mr. Jonathan Lang. Thank you, Chair. When I proposed this item at a previous panel meeting, I had my concerns about some district physical fitness data. And in paragraph 3, it talks about how we need to have 60 minutes of activity. We have 2 PE sessions in schools, 14 minutes each. The Undersecretary said there are some additional physical activities, but not every school can have such activities due to cost considerations. How much more in sports activity do we need to make sure we meet our target? We also have PE being part of the internal assessments. How can we tell parents and students that even if students are busy, there are still ways for students to do sports? We hope that we can all work together to work towards the country's goal of becoming a strong country in sports. Thank you. Undersecretary, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Leung, for the comments. It is important to have concerted efforts to promote sports. We have the goal of MVPA 60, so we should have physical activity of not less than 420 minutes. We have some PE hours in schools. We also have some other physical activities in schools for students. We encourage students to take part in at least one extracurricular sports class or a team-based sport at school. And there will be 2 training opportunities per week, so there should be some additional hours. We also need to take into account perhaps students carrying their school bag to and from school will be also counted as a form of physical activity. We will provide some guidelines to schools. We, of course, want to have cooperation between parents and schools. We encourage parents to have some parent-children physical activities during weekends, even though we understand they're already quite busy. That should help also. As for the internal assessments, we will later on hold seminars to communicate with different stakeholders, including parents, to tell them more about the arrangements for internal assessments relating to the PE subject. We also encourage parents to help encourage children to take part in physical activities. Thank you, Undersecretary. I will extend the meeting by a few minutes, seeing we still have some members waiting to speak. Mr. Tang Fei, I have some suggestions. I do not need a response from the Undersecretary. Many have imposed learning goals for the PE subject, eliminating obesity, vision problems. Honestly, I think it is too heavy of a burden on PE teachers. In my opinion, you can't really plan for everything with the PE subject. You can't associate some grand learning goals with a PE subject either. We need to strike a balance. We can make use of AI in the teaching of PE because with data collected from sensors, we can collect physical data about students. We can also see if students have good poses. I think the Undersecretary can first prepare the examples of the good practices as said earlier for the reference of the sector. I also agree with what some members said about cultivating interests and habits among students. We want to really strive for a balance between cultivating interests and making plans for PE education.
Any response from the Secretary? That's a suggestion. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Tang, for the suggestion. I'm fully on board with this idea. We are not going to draw up a plan and require each lesson to include certain activities. When it comes to using technology, simple devices would be sufficient, so that during class breaks, students will be motivated to play a game and stay physically active. We also place emphasis on students' interests. They may carry out different activities based on their own interests, jumping rope or or cycling. It's not really difficult to achieve in schools. Next, Miss Vivian Kong. I'm a former athlete, and I'm very happy to see that the Education Bureau has devoted a lot of resources to promote sports development and encouraging students to play sports. Now, I am a former elite athlete, and I feel encouraged because it has given me a lot of motivation to go on. I think that when it comes to physical education, we should not just have scores in mind. I think more importantly, we should educate students about sportsmanship, what values and what spirit we should uphold, and what's the true meaning of sports competition. When it comes to assessment and design of the physical education, I want to make sure that sportsmanship and the positive values and the attitude towards winning and losing should be included as well. In the secondary school, I got C for physical education. This didn't affect my professional career as an athlete, but I think students can still enjoy sports without having scored high marks in physical education, because sport is important to physical and mental health. Last question. Very often when I go to school for a visit, students will ask me how I should strike a balance, and that I'm not fond of reading, I want to be an athlete. Now, how should I answer? Is there any suggestion? Well, that's a question from a professional athlete. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Kong, for supporting the Education Bureau's effort in promoting sports and sports culture in campuses. Now, I remember, apart from attending sharing sessions in schools, on one occasion, you also attended an education forum for teachers specializing in life planning. It's really an inspiration because you mentioned the value of and the attitude towards sports and what it truly means to win or lose and how we should deal with adversities. So these are important values that we should instill in the minds of students apart from training them with the physical skills. Through physical education, we want to educate students about these values as well. That is spirits of not giving up and staying modest even when you have won, etc. We want to train students to be resilient, and these are messages we wish to hammer home through physical education. For students who would like to become athletes, what advice can we give them? I think more importantly, we should encourage students to follow their interests. At the same time, it's important to take care of the moral values. It's a balance. That is, apart from academic learning, we need to strike a balance. Schools also support students turning athletes by, for example, adjusting learning hours, flexible arrangements for these athletes to take exams. Some athletes may need to participate in competitions out of Hong Kong, and schools are flexible in arranging for their learning and exams so that we can allow students to unleash their potential. So next time when you come across such a question from students, I believe you can encourage them in this way. As far as schools are concerned, school principals have discussed the same topic as well. I'm sure that all of us would encourage students to follow the interest and unleash their potential. Last member to speak, Professor William Wong, but you press the button only after I announced that the line was drawn, so I'll just give you 2 minutes. Right, I teach AI, and young people nowadays are obsessed with AI. They stay online all the time. So I fully support the promotion of sports among students. They should strike a balance among all the values. According to the paper, this will be included in the internal assessment. Now, some students may not be physically fit enough. They may not be interested in physical activity. Now, if it's math, we can have tuition classes for the underperformers. What about these students lagging behind? Can something similar be done? Right, a simple, straightforward answer, please. Thank you, Chair. We appreciate that students may have different levels of fitness, and for weaker students, so to speak, will they be disadvantaged? Will they score low marks in the internal assessment? Well, there are 4 items of assessment when it comes to physical education, including a 1-minute stretch, sit up, a hand grip, an endurance run, as well as another item. These are assessments included in the fitness test. Students can practice during the PE class. According to 30 years of data, the majority of students have been able to achieve a pass in the assessment. Meanwhile, we understand that some students may have special needs. They may have special education needs. We allow special arrangements be made in the school. There could be an exemption or adjustments can be made. subject to the professional judgment and subject to the consent of the students' parents. Schools may exercise discretion in offering an exemption or concession arrangement. The same arrangement goes for other subjects such as visual arts and music. Secretary, lastly, I'd like to make a suggestion. You don't need to give an answer. In order to promote sports, can we do something with the school uniform? For example, can we allow sports apparel on more days of the week so that it's easy for, say, boys to play football? If we could work on a school uniform, it would be useful, and students will be motivated to be more active. Thank you for your suggestion. All right, if there is no further comment, let's move on to the last item, AOB. Nothing under AOB, so meeting's adjourned. Thank you.